Well, it's just a little after 9:30 here. I'm going to get started. So I want to welcome everybody. Let's see, looking across the screen, I don't see anybody that's a visitor, of course, but anyway, here we go. We're going to do our regular protocol of Secretary Treasury Report, Business Meeting Program, and then show and tell. It's a very nice day today, so we'd like to keep it moving so everybody can go outside and enjoy the nice weather. And with that, we can start our secretary's report, which was embedded in the newsletter. So the minutes, so all in favor of approving those can say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Okay, minutes are approved. John here is to talk about our treasurer's report. John, you got that information on you?
I do. Just I'm at training today for Let's Go Fishing, a group I volunteer with, and so I'm doing this remotely. The treasurer's report, we had $1,195.38 beginning of the month. There's been no checks issued. We had a deposit of $40 at two dues paid. So we ended the month at $1,235.38 with $35 petty cash.
All right, thank you for that, John. John, since I got you here, I know you may not be sticking with us the whole time. Do you want to add anything more about your workshop that's
Yeah,
for people?
we've had 8 or 9 people show interest, so we'll do something for sure. Well, as much as we can be for sure right now, but probably be late August, maybe early September. People are still concerned about getting together before that. So I'll contact those people directly to make see what they want to get out of it and what our plans are. If anybody else is interested, let me know or Katie know, and we'll make sure they're on the list. But so looks like we're going to do something. And if people didn't hear, we're planning to probably do it in my shop and garage, and just do a workshop on Antarctica and talk about all the whole gamut of things and look at different projects and so forth. So if anybody has any interest, let me know.
Sounds good, John. Are you going to be able to stick with us, John? Or are you going to duck out?
A minute or two I can stick with.
Well, again, as we have John here, I wanted to announce something because John golfs with me. I want to announce a first annual Scrollers golf outing. Anybody that's a golfer, I want to set up a little get together outing, call it a tournament, whatever. And the time and the place to be at the Durban, but I'm thinking maybe the first week in August, possibly. And anybody that's interested, they can get a hold of me, and we'll find out what works for people for a date, maybe, or a location, and we'll do that.
Can people who are not regular golfers come?
Sure, we'll make it work. We'll make it work. Probably just a 9-hole outing, but something short, and have a little get together with something outside, which we all should be able to do at that time. Okay, if that announced, we'll move on. Hey, Gary, you have a TLC report for us?
Yes.
Great.
I'm talking about April here for the wooden cars. The only one that cut cars for April was Dale Kilm, and he cut 68 cars, but in March he did 170, so he did 238 cars in the last 2 months. So we have year to date, we have a grand total of 748 cars that have been finished. That's fantastic, and I want to thank Dale for doing that. And he does a excellent job of scroll sign the cars and also as paintables. In the assisted living, memory care, the Christmas ornaments and paintables for TLC Toys in April. We had a good turnout there. Roger, he gave me 86. Fred gave me 120. Dale, he gave me 32. I did 111. So we had 349 paintables and Christmas ornaments for the month of April. Year to date, we have 1,244. So that's great. So I want to thank everybody for doing that.
That's really good. I really applaud you people that are following through on all that, and you can carry on. Anybody else that wants to get involved, certainly very welcome.
If anybody got any questions, let me know. I'm going to be leaving early because I'm up here at the lake. And
Gary, I
Yeah.
have a whole bunch of Christmas ornaments. Do you want me to pack them up and mail them or just wait
no,
until we're
don't mail
together?
them. No, don't mail them. That's too expensive. We don't. The Christmas ornaments, technically we really don't need till, probably September or even October, and there's a good chance we'll be meeting again. But there's also a possibility because I do make trips to Fred's house to pick up and give him wood, and then Dale from down in Faribault there, he's been bringing his up and dropping them off at Fred's house because his daughter lives in Burnsville. So that's kind of a rendezvous place. So if anybody's close to Fred, I haven't asked him this, but he's willing to take Dale's. If he'd probably take other people's as well, and and that's kind of a good rendezvous place.
Okay. All right, on to old business or whatever. Want to check in with Bill and Jill. Good to see you again, Bill, without your oxygen. Is Jill there with you? Hi, Jill. So are you guys how you feeling? You're muted now, Bill, if you want to speak.
Well, I'm completely off of oxygen, driving cars, wasting money, buying stuff I don't need. So I'm good.
That sounds great.
And he cleaned the workshop this week, and so I think we're ready to get
we're
going.
this week we'll be getting down in the workshop since I picked it up. I even cleaned up my garage and stuff too. So yeah, so all the honeydews are coming back. So yeah, I'm back in the game.
Fantastic. This is a good thing to do. I want to take you off the broken or bent saw blades.
Well, I'm still bent, but that's okay.
All right. All right. And I don't know if anyone has an update on Jim Ryan. So if
I do.
Oh, great.
Why I think I put it in the newsletter, but they had a kind of a catastrophe with I don't know if it was, I can't remember what I even wrote half the time, but it was costing them a lot of money, pipes or something. Oh, sewer, his sewer broke. And in the midst of all that, they figured out that they can't take care of the house anymore because Jim says he can't do anything. He sounds a little depressed about it, but he doesn't get too depressed. He's a positive guy. And so they are moving into a not assisted living, but into an apartment. And I think if somebody who knows him a little bit, give him a call. He likes talking to people.
Okay. All right. I encourage anybody that wants to try to get a hold of him to do that. Well, the other thing in old business was last meeting we talked about saving the minutes of our meetings for archiving on a thumb drive. There's other officers I know that have maybe parts or the minutes saved for themselves. I have a lot of them, And like I said last time, I have saved them on my backup drive. I've got them like 3 places now. But we could get those distributed to at least a couple other members. And I have not yet gone through every year and looked at month by month to make sure every meeting is in there, but I intend to do that.
It's good enough.
And I have a lot of them. So going on from that, also membership cards. Again, if anybody needs them, wants a membership card sent to them so they can get their proof of membership for discounts, we will do that. Just let us know if you want a card. John Engler can send those out. John already talked about his Intarsia workshop. I have that here next. State Fair, Don Gore, do you have any updates on?
Warren, can I jump in before John leaves with the Girl Scout thing?
Sure, John.
Can I?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Sorry, Don. I did get a email from Natalie, and the Girl Scout Leader Conference is on August 21st. And she says they are, she said there's some oddities going on with how they've set it up to minimize contact between attendees. And she said it's a kind of pod setup where everybody moves together. So I don't know how that works, and she'll give us more details. But I would really like to know how many people want to be a part of that team this year, and if anybody has leftover Girl Scout logo pieces, if you understand. For those who are new, what is that logo called? It's just
Trifoil.
say it again.
Isn't it trifoil or something like that?
Trifoil, yeah, trefoil, something like that.
Trefoil, yeah.
So what we do is we made a trefoil for each participant, and then we made we put together a kit for a trefoil that the participants actually cut out themselves at the conference. We have about 8 participants per class, and then we give them, we have a video, and we have we give them a little grab bag, and each person, each North Star scroller sits down with one person. We do one-on-one teaching, having them cut the trefoil out. So I'm interested in how many people would be willing to be on the team this year and go there. It's near Forest Lake. Bring your saw and participate with us as a mentor. Anybody here want to do it?
I'll do it.
I can do it.
Yep. Are we going to be in the same building as we were before, or what's the plan?
You know, I don't know if anything's going to be the same, but the last I heard, yeah, it's going to be the same building because they just had too much of a hard time trying something different. But maybe it's going to be outdoors because of the pandemic, or maybe it'll get canceled.
Anyway, I volunteer too to help.
Okay.
Katie,
Chris.
Katie, I'm a maybe. I got several events going on in August, so I just have to check the calendar and look more at that.
Okay. Thanks, Gary, Roger, Chris. Who else? Did somebody else say?
I did. Warren.
Warren, John?
Yeah, I should be able to help. And I've already, I probably have 15 or 20 of those trefoils ready to cut. And last year we got locked in last March. I did a bunch of them. So, I can let you know how many when I get home. I can send you an email.
Do you have both the finished products and the kits?
Yeah, but I don't know how many of each.
Okay.
Well, I've got plywood for you.
So do I.
I still got some.
I have
What
some.
was the date on that again?
August 21st.
Okay.
We've got room for more folks if you want to volunteer.
I'll have to see here on that, but I do have, I think, some of those pieces left, so I'll have to check my garage.
Okay,
I'll let you know.
I
well,
have those pieces also.
it'll be in the newsletter, so we'll get more volunteers, hopefully.
Okay.
Carol, I can't, you're muted. Carol, you're muted.
Sorry, am I okay now?
Yeah,
No? Okay, sorry. I hit the wrong button. Which way? You can put Jeff down as a question mark. He's gone fishing right now, so I can't talk to him, but we can put him down for a question mark and I will confirm and we'll get a hold of you guys this week or something like that. So
okay, thanks.
sounds good. Okay.
Yep. I'm done.
All right, thanks for that, Katie. That
My
was
turn.
Yeah, Don, if you want to talk about anything with the state fair that you have.
Yeah, so the person has to contact me about it. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yep.
Okay, so they're kind of don't do this stuff until the middle of summer. So I'm kind of trying to put together kind of an outline of things that I'm thinking about. So let me just run through this with you real quick so that everybody's kind of up to speed. I'm thinking about my mind is something like what we did for Maker Faire, where we have a couple of tables set up to display projects, and then we have several saws that we use. The one thing I have set up right now, we also have things to do. So we have the display projects, and then we're going to have like 2 saws there to assist beginners. And then we need one saw to demo cutting. And I thought we'd have another saw to demo cutting toys for tots, kinds of, have patterns there where somebody's cutting toys for tot patterns. So that would be total right now, at least of 4 saws in there. We're going to need to have somebody supply the wood, patterns and things. I have a question mark about a sponsor. Again, we have, I don't remember who supplied all the masks, the safety glasses, and the earplugs, but I'm sure we're going to need more of those. And we might need a saw or 2 if somebody wanted to come in and just, perhaps they're a scroll saw and they want to try out a different scroll saw, a Delta or Excalibur or something like that. And then the hours of the building are 9 to 9. So we got a lot bigger coverage. Before, I think we were covering 9 to 5 at the Makers Faire, but this is 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. So we'll probably have to get there somehow early, either the night before or the day of, to set up our stuff. I don't know if any of you have been there to that creative arts building, but they give you a kind of a square area in the middle, and it could be bordered by 2 large 8-foot tables, I think, possibly 3. I'm not, I'm just going by what my memory was from a couple of years ago. The people right now that I'm assuming are going to be on this and volunteer to come and do this are Gary Geist, Phil, John Engler, Warren, Jeff, Katie, myself, Mike Zink, and Roger. If there's others who are interested, that's fine. Just let me know, or send me an email, or or let Katie know and she can forward it to me, and I'll keep the list going. I have no idea when it's going to be during the state fair. If you guys have days that you can't make for sure, let me know, because right now I like I said, they haven't contacted me back, and they said they'll contact me later this spring. So that's what I have so far. Has anybody got any questions about it?
And I just want to clarify, this is a one-day event.
That's the plan. One day, one full day.
Okay. So that's,
Well, based on the Star Tribune paper this morning, it looks like Governor Walz is going to say that it's okay to have a state fair this year.
Well, that's good.
yeah, Don, that sounds like very ambitious, and I applaud you with what you have proposed. That sounds really good. What I recall, I attended a couple of these and worked them in years past where we were still doing the state fair show. We had a limited amount of space. We never had a saw there in the Creative Arts Building I'm talking about during the state fair. Of course, for the Makers Fair, we were given more room, like maybe we could have done what you're speaking about, but I don't know if anybody else wants to chime in, but I don't think we'd have room in the space that we had in the Creative Arts Building to bring maybe more than one saw.
That would be my comment also.
So
Well, it's really, is it worth doing if there's only one saw?
we didn't even have a saw there when we went to the state fair. We did it for 2 days. So it made it a lot easier for us to, pull it off, of course, without that. And I think we could have, we could have made the effort and could have maybe possibly gotten a saw in there for that and fit it in there. So
They were pretty picky about whether or not the saw, how safe it was.
right, that's right. It was a safety thing they were talking about. They didn't want any power tools, I think.
Well, that'd be pretty hard, and there wasn't a lot of room there, was there, Warren?
No.
No.
So,
Well, I mean, that's what this is all about, to me, was like the Makers Fair thing. If we couldn't put saws in there, I'm not sure that I would even want to do it. I mean, it's up to you guys. I can try and make it up. I need kind of maybe some people to as a sounding board to contact once they contact me, so that maybe we can have a conference call or something and
sure.
figure it out. But personally, if we're not going to have saws, what's the point?
Well, when we did go to the fair, we'd get the exposure. We've had lots of pieces there for display, like you mentioned, and we definitely would have that. We had a video running of thing in the background showing the one video that we had made up from Pete Rose. And then was just a meet and greet and pass out cards and talk about, people. We had quite a bit of interest coming in when talking to people.
Yeah, we had a lot of interest. A lot of people come by and stop and ask questions and ooh and ah over the work that they see.
Yeah, so it was fun that way.
But the feedback we got from the state fair, the woman that ran that said we didn't interact with anybody. So I went, what? But anyway, that was their complaint, if you remember right.
Most of the time we were interacting, though.
I mean, I thought we did, but I don't know where they got that. And we didn't have anything, like you say, we didn't have a saw, so we couldn't really show what we were doing. Like the people that had the looms, and there's another guy there that does the carving, but they can kind of diddle with that as the day goes on. If you got a saw, you got to be moving it along here, make some stuff, plus you've got the dust.
Well, I don't know about the dust, but I mean, what I saw the last time I was there was quilting or sewing, and they had 4 machines in their area, and it was I know it was at least I'm thinking 12 by 12 area that they were inside of, and they had tables bordering them, and then they had one opening where you could come through, so they would kind of invite you in, and then you could go and sit down with them at a sewing machine. And it's just depending upon how many people were there at the sewing machine, how many they could have at a time, but they could have had 4 or 5 guests coming in and 4 people working on machines. So that's why that was my picture when I mentioned it.
Okay, well, we'll have to look more into this and see what they come back with when you do get contacted. So let's look at it then. Don, but I thank you for your work you're doing, and I like I said, I really applaud your ambition to try to put that together.
Yeah, whoever I gave you a list of people, so I hope you're available during the state fair. If you're not going to be available, let me know.
We can have a little Zoom with those people if you want, Don.
Yeah, that would be
You let
great.
me know.
We'll have to
Yeah.
do sure to get organized. Yeah, that would be great.
Once they get a hold of me.
As far as the safety thing goes, a sewing machine is just as dangerous as a scroll saw. They
Yeah.
go up and down. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know what the difference is.
We have to explain that to them so they understand, but
Yeah.
take our word for it. Okay, let's move on to an update on the Creekside opening up again. Mike, do you have I saw that you put out something from them.
Yeah, I got an email or actually a letter from Jill Murphy over there saying that they were going to start to, in fact, they've already started to kind of figure out how they're going to ramp this up again and when they're going to open up. So I assume they're going to be gradually opening things up over the next couple months. And so I can't promise anything, but I think we'll be able to get together in the fall. That would be the impression that I got. Now, what the conditions would be, we'd have to wear masks. I don't know, but I almost feel pretty positive that we'd be able to get together there in the fall again. So I'll just have to keep monitoring it, but they'll keep us up posted. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it'll happen. If they have the state fair, I think we can have our meetings. So.
Yeah, it's just a matter how many will be allowed to have in a room, possibly, indoors. So.
Yeah, and we've all been vaccinated. So, and I think a lot of the other seniors too. So this is going to play into this too.
Sure. Things will get better, hopefully, and we can make that happen.
Yep.
Thank you for that, Mike.
Yep.
On to our new business. A program. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Carol.
I'm sorry. I think I hit the wrong button always. I just had one thought. Even if we are able to meet together in the fall, is there an option that someone can bring a computer along and people can join in on Zoom? And since they're still they be a part of it. Is that ever a thought to try and promote? Maybe more people could come, maybe they're not comfortable about coming out that Saturday or whatever, if they're not feeling well, but yet they could still sit in to a Zoom meeting and they be at the meeting. I didn't know. I mean, maybe I don't know enough about how to set up a Zoom meeting enough to know if it can be done.
I think that's
a location. So
I think that's a fine idea that when we are limited to, if we are limited to how many people we can get in a room, we should be able to set up a Zoom call at that time with people that are there, kind of a hybrid kind of a situation with.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's something to explore.
Katie, is that doable? How would you do that? Oh, you're muted. Katie?
I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Okay, I was just wondering if you'd use your regular camera or a computer.
I'd use a computer.
Okay.
You could use a phone.
I'd use a computer.
Yeah, if we
I would suggest using a computer, and especially if we're unsure about how many people we can have come in, I'd rather not drive if it's questionable if I can actually get into the meeting. So Yes, I'd appreciate it if we can try to do this. Katie, if there's something I can do to help work it out, you can count on me to help.
Yeah,
I think the real problem is going to be, how do we handle the camera with live speakers and questions around the room and show and tell and things. It may be very difficult to have everything completely covered remotely.
I'll have my camera on a tripod and I can show somebody how to work the Zoom and I can work the camera. We'll figure it out.
I could help by hosting or co-hosting and relieve you from some of that.
That would be great.
Right.
Just as a thought, that might also be a way to solve the problem we talked about. I don't know if it's a problem, but some of us have talked about being able to have live demos at the meetings where the room's too small to really do that, and the dust and all those things. If you had somebody that was going to do a demo, they could actually do the demo remotely in the shop or something, and feed it both to remote viewers and to the group at the meeting. Might be a little ambitious, but I mean, that's, you got to do one thing at a time, but that might be where that could lead to until we can get a bigger space or something.
Yeah, just like we learned things as we went along, we'll learn more about it. I think it's going to be a great idea to do a hybrid no matter what.
Yep.
And we can use the TV monitor that's in the room so that they can view, like you were saying, a remote broadcast.
Okay.
That way our meetings are also going to be recorded too. So that's a good feature as well.
Don has his hand raised.
What's the internet connectivity in that room?
I'm pretty sure we were connected to the internet during the anniversary thing. And I think we were connected times during the meeting. So I think they have it in the room. I'm not positive, but I think they do.
I can check that out if you want me to.
Yeah, why don't you follow through on that, Mike? That'd be a good idea.
Okay.
Katie, the question would be to me is, can your video camera plug into a laptop?
Yes. Yes.
So then we could use that as the video camera and the TV for the display for all the members in the room.
Yeah, we'll figure that out.
Sounds very doable. All right, let's move on to new business. That was kind of new business right there. But John Engler and he got together with Mike Zink, have been exploring doing some scroll saw brand reviews at maybe the shops of our members. The goal is to get several different saw types, manufacturers that our members own, and then show the features of and pros and cons of all these machines. And along with this, they would maybe ask to have the member review their shop and set up and show what they have in their shop. And these can be made into a video program. So that sounds like a really good idea to me. And we try to get as many, well, we have to limit it. We're not going to do this endlessly, but I'm guessing we can maybe do 6 different brands of saws possibly, or maybe more, or maybe less, and put that together. So that's, Mike, you have anything more you want to say about that?
Yeah, this would be a project that John and I thought we could undertake this summer, and by fall we'd have it put together. And we'd just like to get about, like you say, about a half a dozen different saws. And we would go to each person's house and we'd sort of film for 5-10 minutes, whatever. And then I could take it home and edit it a bit. And then we'd be ready in the fall with maybe a 20 minutes, half-hour presentation on what people like and don't like about their saws. So we kind of need a variety. So if anybody's interested in volunteering to be a guinea pig for John and I and have a little bit different saw, go ahead and let Katie know or let me know or John, and then we'll kind of make a list of all the different saws, and then we'll call people and see if we can set this up over the summer. If anybody's got any questions, let me know or John. But we want to do this over the summer.
It sounds really good. Certainly I have a Seiko. You're welcome to come to my place and do one on the Seiko.
Okay, yeah, if anybody's got a really goofy brand saw, we should do that.
Or just a normal one.
Or just a normal goofy saw.
It'd be nice if there's a Pegasus out there too.
Yes.
I think
I don't know who did Gary have one or?
He has a Pegasus, I believe.
I have a Pegasus, yes.
Okay.
We could talk about that, yes.
Yeah, okay. So,
Yeah, when you go up to Gary's, I could do the DeWalt.
all right.
I've got an
in the same
Excalibur.
area.
All right.
It's the newer cheap one. It isn't the older one, but
If you want to put all those in the chat, and then I'll write them down. Anybody that'd be willing to do that.
and I think Katie had a list that got circulated a while ago of some.
Yep.
Yeah, I do.
Danny, what'd you have again?
I've got an Excalibur.
Excalibur, okay. All right.
I presume you do not need a $100 Craftsman.
Well, maybe we should. I'll put you
Or
down.
Ryobi.
See, I can compare and contrast against my old Harbor Freight one too.
There you go.
Don, do you have another comment or do you want to take your hand up?
I do have a question. This goes back to Jim Ryan. He's got a pretty expensive saw and not many people can appreciate that. Is there something we could do for him to help him? Because I think he's going to have to get rid of that saw of his.
His family, he's got a lot of people working on it with him. He said that they're already on the downsizing and working hard at it. So I'll check in with them and see if whoever ends up with the saw.
John has, or Jim has an Eclipse, and John Engler, I know, has an Eclipse as well. So.
And so do I.
Okay, so we got.
I don't want a camera at my house. So.
We've done that once. Okay. Let's move on then to our program. Mike, are you
Okay, are we ready for that?
good? Yeah.
Okay, let's see here. Shut off chat. Okay, we'll start screen and hopefully I can make this work or share screen. Okay, can you see that?
Yes.
I'd like it to be relaxing, calming, and amusing. I would like people to be a little bit amazed, to figure out how they work, to solve the problem of how it works. My name is David Roy. I'm a kinetic sculptor. I've been doing it for in excess of 40 years.
Roy's kinetic sculptures are a mesmerizing feat of artistry and engineering. A single wind can provide hours of entertainment.
Some of them create tension, but some of them are just something you can sit like you would watch a fire and just get lost in the flames.
And he's made a lot of them over the years.
The different designs, there's over 300, and the number of pieces, because I make editions, is 7,000. something like that.
Each one of Roy's pieces is entirely mechanically driven. No motors, no electronics. And his degree in physics comes in handy when explaining how they work.
You start with an energy source. I use a constant force spring now. I initially started with a weight drive.
Each is controlled by what's called an escapement mechanism, a device that releases energy incrementally. It's similar to what you might find inside a clock.
So the mechanism initially is locked so that the weight can't fall, the spring can't unwind.
When that mechanism is unlocked, it releases a bit of energy, which in turn moves a second device, often a rotating wheel. That device creates motion, but it also retriggers the escapement, releasing a bit more energy and restarting the cycle.
And that's the essence of an escapement. Controlled release of energy that's self-sustaining until it runs out of energy and you have to wind it up. And nothing is perpetual.
About that last thing.
There is a large group of people who say, is it perpetual motion? And of course, I was schooled in physics and I know that that isn't possible. So they're not.
One of the key laws of physics is the conservation of energy,
which basically says the amount of energy you put into a system is exactly the amount you get out, one way or another. The user puts energy in by winding them up, and then the energy comes out in the motion, which is the part I want. But another way is in the sounds. That takes energy to create the sounds. But most of it, a lot of it gets lost in heat due to friction where the things are rotating and rubbing.
Roy has tinkered with different mechanisms and materials to try to curtail some of that energy loss.
So that's where it appears perpetual only because I work really hard to reduce friction and sound.
Roy has always had a strong grasp of the science and the mechanics behind his work, but he needed a little help with the artistry.
I mean, you can make a neat thing, but you have to make it work visually. And that was probably the hardest for me to learn over the years. And that was my mentor and tutor of my wife.
In fact, it was David's wife, Margie, who sparked his initial interest in kinetic sculpture.
Margie was a sculpture major at the Rhode Island School of Design. And she made a project that is 2 cogs and a wooden chain. And she put it on the wall and she said, this is my sculpture. And I said, you can make a machine and call it a sculpture? And she looked at me and she said, of course. And I said, okay. So it was that idea that you could make wooden machines and call them sculpture that totally rechanneled my creative ideas from the science world, the engineering world, to the art world. And it was all brand new and very exciting.
And what started as a hobby quickly became a full-fledged business.
Most people, and I have to admit, I didn't think it was a long-term thing. It was something we were doing because we could, we had no obligations, and I was playing. I was having a great time.
Decades later, Roy is still making and selling kinetic sculptures. And his continued passion is due to one thing.
I like to solve problems that I dream up. I created the first sculptures, and then they were noisy and annoying, and I wanted to make them quiet. So then I had to develop a mechanism that was quiet.
And he did, in a piece called Anticipation. But the problem solving didn't stop there.
Getting longer run times has been one of the challenges that I enjoy. The first pieces, they ran for 20 minutes, 25 minutes. When I got that up to an hour, I thought I was in nirvana, and then it got to 3 hours. This is over years. This didn't happen quickly. The current piece, the longest one I've run, is probably runs for 48 hours, 50 hours.
But there's a cost to these long run times.
What gets you the really long run times is really slow motion, which, you know, it can be nice, but it just isn't as entertaining.
In fact, that's another challenge Roy has set for himself over the years, to get his sculptures to produce all kinds of different motion.
The initial ones were simple motion, just creating the motion. As I gained control, I developed ones that create patterns and optical patterns. And there's basically 2 circular wheels going in opposite directions or the same direction depending on the pattern. The next category that came were more the floating motion. I call that the bird motion, and that's where you'll get a motion up and down, back and forth, but straight line motion or spiral motion. Mixed amongst those, I've tried to do other ones that create randomness so that your optical pattern doesn't stay the same, it changes.
These days, Roy is focused on creating chaotic motion in his pieces.
Chaotic motion is motion that changes at unpredictable intervals. So it can go fast, it can go slow, but you can't tell when that's going to happen. And so chaotic motion, that's a term, it's well defined, it's used in physics, it's used in engineering, but to try to use it in art and to create a chaotic motion is extremely challenging.
Roy was able to deliberately create chaotic motion for the first time a few years ago in a piece aptly named Chaos.
And I'm working in other ones now, trying to use what I learned from that and to push the envelope. Well, what can I do next?
Building one of these sculptures can be a slow and complicated process.
The initial designs float around in my head. So there's a lot of daydreaming, a lot of thinking.
Next, Roy sketches out his designs on a computer.
I draw in Illustrator and I animate, usually in Adobe After Effects.
Animating the piece before building it helps Roy understand what the sculpture's patterns will look like.
There's also another program. It's called Working Model. I use it to calculate the center of mass of complicated arrangements of parts.
That calculation is critical to getting the balance right so that the sculpture moves in the intended way.
The trouble with the program is it doesn't exist anymore.
At least it doesn't for Mac. There hasn't been a current version for years, but Roy has a workaround.
I buy really old iBooks, which are the last computers that would run it. So that is actually a key program, but it's one I live in fear that all my old computers are going to die one day and it won't work anymore, and I'm probably retired at that point.
Roy tinkers in these computer programs until he's satisfied with the overall design. Then he sends a file over to a local woodworker who cuts out some of the individual parts on a CNC machine.
The rest of it all has to be done by hand. The basic tools are drill press, sanders, and a bandsaw. And then there's all kinds of hand tools. I mean, hammers and hand drills and all of that.
Roy uses these tools to build small parts like pulleys and levers, as well as to smooth out and finish off the larger machine-cut pieces. Once all the pieces are finished and stained, Roy then assembles and tests the sculptures.
All of the large wooden parts have to be balanced because wood is not uniform. I have developed techniques that I use tiny little brass weights that are embedded in the back to get things to balance. The assembly probably is where I spend most time, and then also very important is testing. So I have large walls, I put up the sculptures, and I leave them running for days. And I want to get all the bugs out before a customer gets it. So testing is also a big part of the assembly and making process.
One of Roy's new sculptures is in this phase of production. He's been using tape and small brass weights to tinker with the balance.
Eventually, I get an intuitive feel, but the only way to get that is by spending hours adding a weight, then standing and staring at it. My wife laughs. I just stand around and stare at sculptures all day, but that's how I learn and get a feel for what they need.
After a sculpture is assembled, perfectly balanced and quality controlled, there's still one final step.
So a big part of the design and the work is naming. And we have a list that we have kept of all different names that we've thought of over the years. Must have 200 or 300 names. Now we've used 200 or 300 names already. When a new son-in-law joined the family, he was fresh to the game and he was good. He got several right off the bat, but naming is difficult.
From designing to tinkering to naming, the entire process can take a while.
I have had pieces that started and took over a year or more. Some I put aside because I couldn't get what I liked and then went back to them after a while. And then some, I have an idea and it comes out right. And those are kind of boring because they just worked.
And while it's frustrating when things don't work, Roy recognizes that it's all part of the process.
The frustration is kind of nice to have because it makes the joy after better, but one follows the other. I don't think I've ever done a piece where I haven't been disappointed in it initially and then had to work through that and try to figure it out.
And Roy's passion for finding creative solutions isn't slowing down anytime soon.
I had a brother-in-law who, when we started this, he said, "This is great, but you're going to run out of ideas, and then what are you going to do?" And that was 40 years ago. It has just been one thing after another. I thought I would run out, but I'm, pushing 70 years old, and there's still lots of that I want to do. So it's because of the problems. I like to solve the problems.
Hi, I'm Steve at the Carmichael Workshop. Today I'm going to make some miniature iconic road signs using the scroll saw. There are a lot of iconic road signs out there, and many of them are genuine works of art. So I thought it would be fun to make some with a scroll saw. Finding the templates for road signs is pretty easy. I just searched Google Images for the ones that I wanted. In this case, I searched for the Chevron logo and found it. I just copied and pasted the logo and put it into Microsoft Visio. And I actually drew shapes over the top of it to actually make cutting lines for a cutting template. I also kept the original logo here to reference the colors when I paint it. But these are going to be basic segmentation projects where I take my template, glue it onto a board, cut all the pieces out, take it apart, sand everything, paint it, and then glue it all back together to make the sign. So it's pretty simple. You can just search Google Images for the company logo, or you could search for an actual photo of a sign. You just want it to be a straight shot, so it's not skewed in any way in the picture, so you'll have a good template to use. So let's cut out some signs. The Varsity was founded in 1928 and is the largest drive-in fast food restaurant in the world. Its iconic sign can be seen when passing through Atlanta, Georgia. Rock City is a tourist attraction near the Georgia and Tennessee state lines. It opened in 1932, and by 1969, it was advertised on almost 1,000 barn roofs and walls across 19 states. Shoney's Restaurant was founded in 1947. It became known for its breakfast bar and big boy statue at the entrance. When I was in high school, somebody took the big boy statue and put it on top of the school as a prank. The Chevron Energy Company was founded in 1879. It gets its name from the pattern that's used in its logo, which was named in the 14th century. You can find the chevron pattern on everything from men's ties to patio pavers. Interstate 85 runs through the heart of Atlanta, and I live just a few miles away from it. This interstate highway is 666 miles long, and a section of it in Atlanta was shut down in 2017 due to a huge fire and collapse. Waffle House is a 24-hour restaurant that's even open on holidays. The first location opened in 1955 in the Avondale Estates area of Atlanta. Its name came from the most profitable item on the menu, which is the waffle. Everywhere I drive around Atlanta, I see a Waffle House sign. The Gulf Oil Company was founded in 1901. It was one of the first to use its iconic logo to brand gasoline sold from pumps and containers to imply that it had a higher quality. Krispy Kreme is a donut chain that started from someone just making and selling donuts in a general store in 1933 in Kentucky. The original Atlanta location is located on Ponce de Leon Avenue, and it has this iconic sign that I'm cutting out. They're also famous for their hot sign, which is a neon sign with the word hot that lights up whenever the donuts are hot and fresh. The Holiday Inn hotel chain was founded in 1952. Their great sign was 50 feet tall with a star as a beacon along highways. One of only 2 remaining operating signs is at the Henry Ford Museum. My parents tell me when I was a kid and we were on vacation and we'd pass by a Holiday Inn sign, I would wave at the star. The Big Chicken is a landmark in my hometown of Marietta, Georgia. It was built in 1956 and it's 56 feet tall. Locals use it to give driving directions, and it's also used by airplane pilots as a navigation reference point. It's also home to a Kentucky Fried Chicken restaurant. In-N-Out Burger was founded in Baldwin Park, California in 1948, and they have a really cool sign. The fast food chain has locations in California and the Southwest, and someday I hope they come to Atlanta. Well, here are all the road signs I made with a scroll saw. I just made a few simple stands to hold them up so I could put them on display. A lot of these bring back some childhood memories, and they also remind me of some local landmarks here around the Atlanta area.
Today we're talking blue tape. What's going on, guys? I'm Jody, this is Inspire Woodcraft, and today I've got some tips and some tricks, some that I've learned along the way, some that I've just recently found that I think are super neat, and I can't wait to utilize them in my shop. Either way, we've got tips and tricks to use blue masking tape in our shops to make us more productive. Here's 13 tips to use blue tape to make you more productive in the shop. Now, this first tip is the most easily recognizable, as I think we've all done this at one point or another. Take a piece of masking tape, wrap it around the end of the drill bit just far enough up for the depth of hole you want to drill. You make a little flag at the end there, and when the flag starts brushing away the wood chips, you know you've drilled your hole deep enough. This is a really good replacement for double-side paper tape. Take a piece of masking tape, make a loop out of it, sticky side out, and press it firmly down onto the back of a piece you want to, say, stick to your bench, like I'm doing. Flip it over, stick it down to the table, and it will not move, not permanently. This will work as an extra pair of hands to hold something steady so you can drill a hole or make a mark or whatever you need to do. Now, piggybacking on that, you can also use this technique at the bandsaw to make a zero clearance table instead of having to make a whole new insert. Now, this is going to let you make cuts at the bandsaw with minimal to no tear out, and it's also going to keep little pieces from falling down into that insert. Now, speaking of tear out, that brings us to our next tip, which is to prevent tear out at the miter saw or the table saw. Wrap a piece of blue tape around where you're going to cut, and it'll keep those fibers locked in. You can see on the end that I didn't versus the end that I did, and how much cleaner of a cut I got. I personally like to use masking tape to mark stuff out. I use it in the house a lot. Say I'm going to mount something to the wall. I don't want to draw on the wall. And the same goes with this. Lay a piece of tape down, make all your measurements so you're not drawing on the workpiece itself. And if you look closely, I actually have rolled up tape underneath there to keep this fastened to the table. Now I can put my drill where I need to go and drill down. No harm done to the piece itself. This next tip is one that I use all the time. I don't really see a lot of people using it though, so hopefully you guys can utilize this. So this is a 5-minute epoxy I'm just mixing up on here, and I'm gonna lift the tape right off of the table and use it as a squeeze tube to actually pour into the hole that I drilled. Now, anyone who has destroyed clamps over a period of time because of glue squeeze out getting all over the clamps will appreciate this. Take some masking tape. You can also use packing tape and put it down on the clamp on the areas where it's going to get glue squeeze out when you clamp up, say, a cutting board or something. The glue will stay off your clamps and onto the tape, prolonging the life of your clamps. Now, this is another one that we've probably all seen before, and that's using masking tape as a clamp itself. So this is a 90-degree corner that I want to create. So I'm going to put masking tape on the back side of that corner, and I'm actually going to up this by 1. Flipping it over, I'm actually going to line the inside of where that joint's going to come together with masking tape as well. And that's going to prevent glue from squeezing out and onto my project, which can be a real pain in the butt to sand or chisel out. And it can also cause stain issues if you were to go back and stain that. So we're just going to mask that off. Now you can see when I close the gap, the glue squeezes out over the tape. You can then wipe it out or come back and chisel it out later. And you can also use the blue tape itself to clamp that gap shut. Now this is a cool one that I plan on using quite a bit. I just learned this from the wood whisperer himself. We're gonna put a piece of tape on each one of these. We're gonna put some CA glue down on one. We're gonna use an accelerator on the other side. That's gonna allow for a quicker bond. And we sandwich these two together and hold them for a couple seconds. And the two pieces stay together, but we're not harming the wood itself by putting an adhesive or a sticky residue on it. Now I had to use a chisel to gently pry these two apart, but what's great is the tape pops right off afterwards, and then we can just pull that off and throw it away, similar to double-sided tape. Now here I'm using masking tape on the router table to establish my start and stop points. So here's where I'm gonna press down, and I'm actually running a groove into this wood. I'm gonna go along, and when I get to my out mark, I'm gonna lift up, and now I'll have a perfect groove right where I wanted it. Now this one is one that I use every day. This is the tape measure I normally use. I take a piece of masking tape, I put it on the side of it, and I write my measurements down on there. So now when I get to the saw and make my cut, I know exactly what my measurements were, and I don't have to go back and forth because I personally can't retain anything. Anyways, that's a wrap, you guys. Hopefully some of you guys can use these tips. I know there's quite a few that I found recently that I'd never known before, and I'm sure there's plenty more.
Let's talk about drill bits with spurs on them. Now, when I say spurs, this is what I mean. I mean drill bits like this Brad point bit, here's a Forstner bit, and a paddle bit. These are the most common ones with spurs. And the spurs are these little tabs that stick out on the side. They also generally have this brad point in the middle. Now the brad point is very useful for alignment. You can stick that point right on wherever you want to drill your hole, and it ensures that your drill bit's not going to wander around. What a lot of people don't realize is that these spurs are also designed to give you a nice clean cut on the perimeter of your hole. But it's not as simple as just sticking it in there, turning your drill on, and drilling. What you actually want to do is turn your drill on in reverse. Cutting backwards will actually make a nice clean perimeter, and then once you score out that perimeter, flip it forward and then drill your hole, and you'll get a crisp, clean cut all the way around your drilled hole. I'll show you. Watch. And it's perfect because the reverse cuts in one direction. You might get a few little burrs, and then you flip it in forward and it trims off all those burrs, leaving a perfect hole every single time. Now you know. But what happens if you drill one hole and then all of a sudden you realize, oh no, I made a mistake. That was the wrong size hole. It's supposed to be bigger. Well, you try and switch out your drill bit for the bigger size. Now you've got no place to reference your drill bit to drill a perfect hole. So you can try and just stick it on there and eyeball it and force it, but since it's not starting on that brad tip, chances are it's gonna bounce all over the place and you're not gonna have a clean, crisp hole. So what do? Here's what you do. You take a scrap piece of wood. This is just 1/2 inch MDF. You take your bigger size bit that you need to drill the hole bigger to, and you drill a hole in it. See? Just like that. Then you take that board, you stick it over your already drilled hole, you get it lined up perfect where it's supposed to be, and you clamp it down. Then all you got to do is insert your drill bit. This is going to act as a guide now to keep your bit from bouncing all over the place, and you drill your hole like this. So there's some simple drilling tricks that should help you out. There's a bunch of other ones too. Obviously, if you don't want to get blowout on one side that you're drilling through, put a backer plate on and drill into the backer. If you can't put a backer plate on something, you can always drill a small pilot hole and then come in halfway through on one side, come in halfway through on the other side and meet in the middle. This will eliminate blowout altogether, but that's probably enough for drilling for today. Let's end off with some measuring tips. All right, in my last video showing you how I built the built-in bench in my mudroom, I showed you a little trick for measuring when you have to measure in a corner or up against something. Because we all know that you get to this point where your tape measure's all bent funky-dory like that, and you end up having to kind of guess what the actual measurement is. Now, my preferred method for dealing with this is to measure from that corner out a set distance. I always go 1 foot. And then I measure from the other end to that mark and add on 1 foot. That gets me a perfect, accurate measurement. But a lot of you guys in the comments said another suggestion that I actually didn't know, and you can also do. On the back of your tape measure, it says the size that your actual tape measure body is. On this one, it says 2 3/4 of an inch. So potentially, you could go all the way with your tape measure, touching that wall. Find your measurement here at the mouth of the tape measure, add that 2 3/4 inch, and get your total length. I don't really like this because it's kind of hard to see exactly what the measurement at the mouth of the tape measure is. It's hard to get your tape measure perfect up against your wall that you're measuring off of. So I'm still going to use my measuring out and to that mark, but you can do either one of these. Finding the center of a board, for some reason, is still a problem that we're talking about in 2020. To the point that companies have even made special jigs that will just perfectly find the center of a board for you. I think this is crazy because it's ridiculously easy and all you need is a ruler. No, I'm not just saying to measure to the center of the board. Using a ruler, you can accurately find the center of any board with very, very little math. Let me show you how you do it. All you need to do is take your ruler. You're going to turn it at a diagonal like this and pick 2 points. Just go on the inch because it'll be a lot easier. I'm picking the 6-inch mark over here, and to make it simple on myself, I'm going to pick the 16-inch mark over on this side. You get that 16 perfectly on the edge over here, the 6 perfectly on the edge over here. I know that is a span of exactly 10 inches. What is half of 10 inches? Well, that would be 5. So I go 5 inches in from either side and I make a mark. Boom. That is the center of my board.
So thank you for that, Mike. Some very interesting things. Those tips.
Yeah, I got the first suggestion from Don Gore, which was really interesting. I wanted to shorten that section up, but I just couldn't find anything that I could take out. So I put the whole thing in.
Okay.
Danny Judd had the other one. I shortened that just a little bit, but I got the essentials. And then the last ones were just things that I picked up. I thought the blue tape was interesting, and the last guy is a little goofy there, but he did have a couple of things. And the one about the measurement, finding the center, Roger Elwine showed me that same idea, I believe. So that's that was what we could put together this month, and I thought it was pretty interesting.
Yeah, well, that's good. Thank you for the input from you guys too.
Yeah, thank you for the suggestions, fellas.
I thought they
Are you
were all
going
really
to-
fun.
Can you have the addresses of those videos listed in the meeting minutes or in the newsletter?
Yeah, I can put that together, and sometimes I put this on YouTube, and I can probably add that to there, and maybe we can put that link in there too. But I could.
That's all I was asking, is just a link. You don't have to have the videos. I mean,
Yeah, I could go back and find the links to the videos. I have those saved on my YouTube feed, and then you could watch the whole thing. There's some parts of it missing, not a lot, but the parts that I shortened out.
Yeah, those blue tape ones, they blew through those, so quickly that I forgot most of them, not all.
Yeah, but you did have some good ideas there,
Yes.
so it wouldn't hurt to rewatch that if you want to watch it again.
Yeah,
Great idea.
that's the one I was really after, because I was making notes and then I missed the next idea. So
I was doing the same thing, Mike.
I'll get the links into the newsletter if Mike sends me the links.
Okay, I'll get that right after the meeting.
Great.
I was, the kinetic art was kind of interesting because in a recent email from Steve Good, he had, it was a kinetic art, was a motor driven kinetic art piece in there, which was similar. So that when I saw that, I went like, oh, great.
Yep. That guy was amazing.
Yep.
Dedicated his life. I bet you he made some money selling that stuff too.
Oh yeah.
Anything else you want to discuss about the program or what you might have up your sleeve for the next meeting? I guess, I mean, the next meeting I can tell you right now is I have down as September 4th. That's the first Saturday in September. That happens to be Labor Day weekend as well. I don't know if that's a problem, but I think, hopefully we can meet in person then. With that, we want to go on to show and tell.
Hey, just a quick comment before show and tell. This is Bill. For those of you who have some extra bucks burning a hole in your pocket, Acme Tool on 494 in Rockford currently has their annual tool sale, and it's anywhere from 10 to 12% off of multiple brand name tools. So if you're bored, want to go spend some money on stuff, I just thought you might want to know about that if you didn't already.
All right.
What's that again? Where is this?
494 in Rockland Road in Plymouth.
Okay.
Rockford Road. Sorry.
Yeah, Rockford Road.
Do you know how long it goes till?
Today is the last day.
Oh.
It started Thursday and it went again through today. It's a good sell. If nothing else, you can get N95 masks for $1 a piece. So.
Oh wow, good.
Mike Snyder, is that hand for your show and tell? Okay, would everybody who has a show and tell do the raise your hand button either under reactions or at the bottom of your participants list?
I had a quick comment, if I can, real quick before show and tell.
Go ahead.
If we're thinking about state fair and meeting, one of the Saturdays is always Labor Day weekend for the fair. If that might be a conflict for whenever we'd have our meeting, but I know we always have said the first Saturday in the month. That might be kind of hard to do. If we're also at the fair, we'd have a meeting too, because most folks will be there. So just throwing that out there, just a thought.
Okay, yeah, if we do the fair, I expect we'll do 1 or 2 days at the most. And probably, I don't know if we want to do it on a weekend, but I think we can avoid that conflict.
Are we ready for show and tell?
Yeah, let's go.
We're going to start with Mike Snyder, and Carl, you're on deck.
Okay, I'm going to go over to a web page. I have been working for the last few weeks on a virtual show for our Rochester wood carvers. Do you have, I'm guessing you have it on the screen here?
No.
Nope.
Not quite yet.
Almost.
Almost.
It's
From my end, it says it's sharing screen.
Yeah, that's what it says here too. It says you started.
And you're not seeing it?
Nope.
Correct.
And now I don't seem to be able to do anything. I can't even stop it.
Check your video.
I can't see a video because my Zoom screen is on my shared.
I can stop your sharing if you
Yeah,
want
why
me
don't you
to.
stop my sharing because I can't do anything here.
Okay,
I can't stop it.
I tried. Let me try again. Stop participant sharing. Well, isn't this fun?
Hmm.
Okay. Yeah, you stopped it.
Huh.
We'll skip that. It's now saying my connection is unstable. All right. The wood carvers normally do our annual show in March. Since we haven't been able to do it last year or this year, we decided that we were going to do a virtual show. We've had members submit photos and things, and I was going to show you a little bit of what the tables, virtual tables look like. I've been the main person getting all this together. I've been working 12-hour days for the last 10 days. We're just about ready. The show will start probably this Wednesday, and I'm going to put a link in the chat area as to where you can find the show. We will, like usual, we have people's choice and things like that. So I encourage people, you don't even have to come all the way down to Rochester. You can do it from your home computer or cell phone or whatever. Come join and view our show. And if anybody has problems or questions, you can get hold of me. So that's what I had today.
What's the date again?
As soon as I get it up, which might be by tomorrow, we're saying Wednesday, the 5th.
Okay.
It's on the chat.
Is that it?
That's it. Thank you.
Okay, Carl, you wanna?
Sure. Reverse to me.
Nice.
This is a Steve Good a scroll saw work. It's, you know, it's got a front part here, and I did it in Purple Heart with the back.
Mhm. Wow.
Cool.
That
Really
was
cool.
that was kind of fun. It was I was trying some different techniques to cut out the letters and stuff like that. That's where I wanted. That's why I said I wanted to get some new blades to try some different cuts.
Very beautiful.
It was a lot of fun. The other thing that I saw Steve Good, which is really kind of handy, he did this. He didn't come up with this idea. Somebody gave him the idea, and it's just basically it's a 1/2-inch dowel with a magnet on it and a nail embedded in it, glued into there, and you can use that for the stuck pieces. It just sticks on the drill saw arm, and then you can pull. It's easy handy to get those stubborn little pieces that get stuck in the frets that you cut out.
Cool.
So that's kind of a handy little tool that I got from Steve Good as well.
I forgot. Yeah, I forgot to say who was next up, but it is going to be Dave Gade. Are you ready, Dave?
Absolutely. Okay, two things here. One, this is a Steve Good pattern. If you go to his catalog and type sports, it's the last one on there, so it's fairly current. And my granddaughter suggested I fill that cavity with epoxy or something. And I thought this was so nice that I put it on and I increased it by 150%. And this one is going to be easier to paint and look more like a real fish. Then I have a friend whose son rowed for the Navy rowing team. And he died of brain cancer a couple of years ago. And his grandson, son of the same guy, is now rowing for Penn. So we were going to go to a Penn Navy Harvard regatta last year. When COVID hit, we couldn't go. So we made a plaque for the Naval Academy, state of Maryland, Washington, DC, Annapolis, and they had little brass medallions. And it was so pretty on both sides, I didn't know which one to use. And so I just recessed them and I photocopied it and glued them in. We were waiting for the guy to send us 2 medallions so I could insert them. He hasn't done that. I'm going to send him the board. He can put his own medallions in. But
Wow.
if I do that again, I would be a lot bigger because that top bar of Maryland is less than 3 miles wide. So it became very delicate when I tried to cut it out of a piece of rope.
Okay, very good. Is that
You
it?
should fit a 3-mile wide board on your saw.
Well, that's what I need. Yeah, big piece of plywood, bigger than that 19x4 that we got.
Is that it?
That fish, Dave, I've actually got that printed out myself. I was planning to do that myself. So it's great.
Wow.
It was easier than I thought, and I was going to paint these levels, but I said, let's just glue this one together. I'll make the bigger one and I'll paint that one.
Yeah.
So Roger, you're next on deck.
Yeah, this is a Steve Good pattern. And it's one that Gary came up with doing for TLC Toys. And I made this actually out of aspen. And I think it turned out pretty nice, but I've had quite a few people that have wanted them. So I just keep making them. But it was kind of a fun project. And this time with the world being in so much trouble and that, I thought it was a pretty good one to have.
Nice. Mike Zink and then Danny Judd. Mike, are you ready?
Okay, let's try share screen. Can you see that?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, I got busy on my table saw and I made this little clamp, and it's an adjustable angle clamp. So you can clamp something 3/4 of an inch is the size it's made for, but you could probably go down to 1/4 with some shims, or you could go up to maybe a 1 inch, I think probably. And you just release those knobs and just set it to the angle that you want. And I can get a bit over 45 degrees, so probably 50 degrees here if I tip it all the way to the left. And so then you can slide that past your blade and you can get some odd angle that you want. I have a couple other pictures. Let's see if I can get those up. That's the bottom. And now the board in the middle is the slide. And then you can see these 2 bolts. They were called elevator bolts, and they're about 1.5 inches in diameter. So I ground them off so they would be long, and then they would lock the knobs up on top, and so they'd slide in those slots. Let's see if I can get the last one. And there's the front view. So it seems to work pretty good. I haven't cut too many things yet, but I will. Okay, we'll stop that. That's it.
Okay,
Cool.
and let me get you down and put Danny Judd up. You ready, Dan?
Yeah. Last meeting I was at, I had asked about the folks that make their own portraits of folks, and Warren did one of his dog. That's exactly what I was going to do, is do one of mine. So
yeah,
ended up with that. Did for a first try with GIMP and that. It didn't turn out horrible. It kind of looks like the dog anyway.
Yeah.
And where? Oh, let me just do this. And let's see if I can. You see that clock?
Oh, it was there a minute.
Still buddy.
Oh, all right. Let me see if I've got to share that. Well, let's try again. I don't know why I can't advance. Oh, there. Okay. Oops, I didn't know what I want. There. That's what I wanted. That you can see, right?
Yes.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. So that's a Garnett Hall pattern originally, but I did a lot of modifying because I don't know. I didn't want to use a backer board. I wanted everything to stand out. So it was supposed to be intarsia and have everything kind of flat in there, but mine's very 3D and it just hangs. But anyway, it was just something I did to hang in my shop just because I needed a clock and seemed appropriate. So.
Cool.
So that's that. That's all I got.
You stop sharing, I can stop.
Well.
Near the top.
Oh, yeah. There we go.
Okay, and Bill Sauer has something today. Right, Bill?
Yep, that's right. Good morning. Good
Hi.
morning. I grew up.
Ooh, that's cool.
I grew up
A
on
little high, a little higher.
Okay.
Yeah, good.
I grew up on a farm in northwestern Wisconsin, and they just had the 100th anniversary. And then about a month ago, I saw a pattern advertised, and I thought, hey, I'm going to make them a cross for the 102nd anniversary. And it's 4 layers, 2 layers of 1/4-inch Padauk, and 2 layers of 1/8-inch Baltic plywood. So I haven't got all the finishes on yet, but there it is.
Very nice. Okay. Is that it?
That's it.
Okay. So is there anyone who didn't get their hand up? Warren, you're kind of up, but do you have something?
Yeah, I do. So I want to share my screen here. So can you see that?
Oh, yeah.
So this is a piece, again, it's a Steve Good pattern that I turned into a golf trophy. The story behind this is Chuck Milberg, a good friend of mine, got diagnosed with terminal cancer. And he asked me he got a hole-in-one back in 1974 in Ohio, where he was from. And he kept the ball all these years, didn't do anything with it, just kept it in his drawer, went all around, still hanging on to it. And one thing he wanted to do is have a trophy made for his grandson so he could give this to him. And so I came up with this idea to put his ball, that's the golf ball that made the hole-in-one. And so I put that together for him. He passed away in February. But this is something that he wanted and did give up. He gave it to him, I think, right at Christmas time. So anyway, it's kind of special thing I could do for him.
That's really cool.
That's very neat.
Really cool.
That's neat.
That's it.
Can you stop sharing? There you go. Is there anyone that we missed that didn't get their hand up?
Ron,
Ron. Okay, let me get you here, Ron. Where'd you go?
he's muted.
Ron, you're muted, but I can get you spotlighted here. Oh, I got to get rid of.
We're there now?
Almost. I got it.
Yes.
Yes.
I'll just have to use my camera here. I've been making some single crosses like this for some time. Let me get one of these out of here. They're kind of semi-carved, polished down. I'm making this for one of my kids' families.
Can you hold it up higher? Yeah, good.
Yeah, have a stand basically. I'm not finished. I have a backing on it, and I got to get it so it's a little bit looser too. And then I've been horsing with with this, it comes off of Pinterest. And there's holes out here on the periphery that are pretty small.
Can you hold it up a little higher?
Yep. You see it there?
Better if you go the other direction. Yeah, right there. I can get a good picture of that. Good.
It's called the Tree of Life. But drilling the holes on the periphery, I've got some more holes to drill up in here, in these spots right in here, and they get pretty small. So I came up with a little fixture here where I use different pieces of wood in here, square cut on the end, and you can kind of see the holes there, I think.
You move your
and
finger.
then I use a small drill chuck, and drill those holes in there. It's kind of a pain in the butt. And if anyone has any thoughts about liking to build a barn for a grandson, I have a pattern here that I would certainly give somebody. I don't know if I can get this in here. This is the cross section of it. It's kind of tough to see, but basically there's a piece that comes out here that makes the cross section of the barn, and then you can develop it, you know, to what extent you want to make it work for you. This is one of the end panels. I don't know if you can see that close. Kind of tough to see it.
Yeah, you'd have to hold it back up. There you go.
I get the idea. Yep.
Cool.
What
You
do
can
you do with
whatever
the,
what's that?
what do you do with the barn, Ron? Is it just sort of like a dollhouse kind of, or?
Yeah, it's basically for kids to play in.
Cool.
You know, and you can take it to any level you want to, because you can put stairs in it. You can put anything that a barn has, milk house inside of it, an outhouse inside of it, you name it. So the more people you get involved in it, the more creeping elegance takes over. That's all I got.
If you put the outhouse inside, is that an inside outhouse?
Right. In the grade school I went to, we had an inside outhouse, and it was outside of our classroom. It was not pleasant.
Sounds like a Dr. Seuss thing.
You'd
rather have chalkboard duty or milk duty instead of bucket duty, right?
Well, no, I had a pit. I got to run. I got a grandson that's getting pretty antsy in the house.
Okay.
Good talking to people.
Thanks for that, Ron.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
So,
Is there anyone else? Well, that was fun.
okay, I want to thank all of you that had something to show today. You know, if we were in person, we'd all be applauding at each one of these, and there's some really, really good stuff we saw there. So thank you for all that. With that, again, I will get out some information about the golf outing, and anybody that wants to join us, hopefully we can pull that together in early August. And want to wish everybody a great summer, and you can start summer today. It's going to be warm enough. Get on your shorts and your flip-flops or your whatever you want to do. I'll put on my golf hat here and my sunglasses, and here I go.
I, only, that's good. I only want to do, well, I'll do one summer, I'll do the newsletter for this meeting. And then I only want to do one summer newsletter, getting ready for September. So now's your chance to really think of some creative ideas. What would you like to see in the newsletter this summer? If you have any announcements or anything, get them to me. I guess that's all I have to say about that. But I'll stay on for a bit. And is the meeting over?
No, not yet. We can adjourn, but I just wanted to say, I also want to call a board meeting for sometime in August. And we'll do a Zoom meeting for that. So let you know about that.
Expect lots of state fair promotion emails.
Okay. So, yeah, Don, if you, Katie's got the distribution for everybody, but maybe we could get a smaller distribution for the people that would be working that.
Yeah.
Well, there's also promoting the state fair competition. So that would, I want to go out to everybody. So.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Don. Okay, with that, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
I move, we adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Got seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Happy summer.
Yeah, thanks. I'll keep it open for a little while if you want to chat.
Anybody
Or-
wants?
But feel free to go off as you wish.